Well, a little past the halfway point here. Of course, I'm Steve Fairchild, Coach's Show. Live at the Beach House Grill on a snowy Wednesday night up here in Fort Collins. Brian Roth with you. Happy to be joined by Momo Thomas, the junior out of Kissimmee, Florida, who, of course, had a great interception last week. He's been outstanding all season long. He was great in the punt return game. And, Momo, thanks for joining us. Talk about that interception last week, because that's as well as you can read a pass.
Coach Kert made the cover 2 call. We have been watching film, and we knew out of that formation that we going screen. And cover 2, corner could be aggressive. I just kind of went up, and ball came.
So when you see them breaking the huddle and they come out in that formation, did you see it immediately? And was the thought going through your head, you know, if I time this right, this could go to the house?
Well, what happened was I messed it up the first time, and I didn't jump it. And Coach Kert kind of ripped me for it. And then he called another call and gave me an opportunity just to take it inside and take it.
You almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, and it seems like a while ago, but at the Utah State game, you almost had one of those at the Utah State game too, didn't you?
Oh, yes, sir. But the pulling guard got to me before I could get it against Utah State and hit me, so
yeah,
the ball flew up in there.
Just chipped you just a little bit. Speaking of Utah State, take us back to what was one of the most exciting plays of the season. Double overtime, they go for 2, and it was you that preserved the win.
I was just kind of free on it. The guys up front pushed them outside, and I was free. My block had went inside, so it was just me and him, and I just used the sideline to my advantage.
Momo Thomas joining us here in the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. How about this season? You got to a good start. Now you've hit a rocky patch. You've lost 3 straight games. What's the mindset of this team?
I think everybody just got the mindset to go out and practice hard, correct their mentals. I think that's the most important thing, and just keep our confidence up and know we still got a second half of the season left.
Is that how you have to look at it? Because there are 5 games left.
Oh, yeah. Who's it to say that we can't win out? I think we can win out. Starts this week, be at 4-4, and then it'll be a different story going into a bye week.
Talk a little bit about returning punts. It's something you've done a lot in your career. Is that something as you get older and you do it more that you become more comfortable doing it?
Oh, yeah. At first you're definitely scared back there coming in your first year, but you start getting used to it, and it's just fun for me back there now. I got a group of guys in front of me that's blocking well for me, and I just use the blocks to my advantage and just have fun back there.
You are one of the elder statesmen on this team. Do you feel like one of the elder statesmen? You've only been here 3 years.
Yeah, this is my 4th year, going on my 4th year.
4th year, my bad.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel kind of old. I'm only 21 though, so. But just being here longer than most of the other cats, it just makes me feel older. But I spend time with a lot of the younger cats, to bring me down a little bit, bring me down a notch.
That's right. I forgot about the year that you got hurt. You got a medical hardship. So that shoulder, you still doing okay physically?
Oh, yes, sir. I still go in and get rehab on it, but it's giving me no problems this year.
All right, UNLV, what do you know about them? I'm sure you've seen some film. I know they have struggled throwing the football this year. Is that something you guys can take advantage of?
I think you just play technique. Because, they're going to go at you. Every team wants to, go deep, get a touchdown. But, they got some good wide receivers. We play our technique, play our ability. We'll hold them down.
Final thought before I let you go, Momo. I know you were a good baller in high school. You were a basketball player. I remember talking to you a couple of years ago, and I asked you if you thought you could play for the CSU basketball team. You said, absolutely. Do you play hoops anymore?
No, I'm kind of off the hoop thing. I don't be wanting to get hurt, so I kind of stepped back from it. But I still got a love for it. I still feel like I could play.
Yeah, you're only 5'9", but what kind of player were you in high school, basketball-wise?
A scorer, passer, defensive player. It didn't matter.
Yeah, but you averaged 22, 23 points in high school?
My senior year, I averaged 23, 10 assists. Just fun, like having fun on the basketball court.
You're the best basketball player on the CSU football team? Who else can ball? Who else is a baller?
Borky think he could ball a little bit. Crockett could probably do a little something.
He could play a little bit? All right. Well, hey, listen, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck against UNLV. Let's get this thing back on track.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Momo Thomas, defensive back from Kissimmee, Florida, joining us on the program. We'll be joined by Larry Kert coming up next from Elegant Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. Back here on a snowy Wednesday night, Old Town Fort Collins, Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Happy to have everybody aboard with us here. Colorado State getting set to take on UNLV Saturday afternoon. Again, we'll have all the coverage here on the Colorado State Sports Network, beginning with the tailgate show at 2 and then the kickoff coming shortly after 4 o'clock. Larry Kert, defensive coordinator at Colorado State, joining us in the program. Larry, thanks for coming about here tonight.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Yeah, always good to get you on. Your thoughts last week. I was telling Steve, I didn't think the defense played all too bad, except for you gave up the big plays on a few occasions.
Yeah, we really did. Our guys are battling. They're doing a good job overall, but we still have some areas where we got to improve, obviously. And giving up the big play was really our detriment this past week. We got out of our fit. We lost contain one time and missed a tackle another time. And good running backs like that are going to hurt you, like UTEP did to us. But I think those are things we're striving to continue to work on and get better at. And I just am really anxious to get out and play again because I got a lot of hope with this defense and this team.
Yeah. I know one thing you get with injuries is inconsistent play, and you guys have had your share, certainly along that defensive front with the defensive tackles for sure. You lose Mike Sisson. Talk about some of the young kids that have had to kind of step in and play, and I guess at the top of the list, Shaquille Barrett's been a real bright spot.
There's no doubt. Shaquille Barrett has played extremely well at middle linebacker. I think he's an outstanding football player that just going to continue to get better and better. Here's a sophomore that, stepped into our program right at the start of camp and has been thrown into the fire and has done a great job. There's a number of other guys have stepped in. Nordley Cappy stepped in when Broderick Sargent went down.
That's worked out okay.
That's worked out very good. Redshirt freshman that's done an outstanding job and continuing to get better. Nordley has obviously done a great job in the pass rush. Where we're focusing on him is getting better in the run game, and I'm seeing progress, and he wants to be better in that area. That's a great step. You've seen guys like Aaron Davis, a redshirt true freshman linebacker, come in and get some playing time. I think he's got a great future. Drew Riley, another true freshman for us, started at safety this past week along with Austin Gray, who's a redshirt freshman. So you're talking a young group of guys that are going to develop and be good. We have to suffer some growing pains, unfortunately, but I'm excited about this group of guys.
Yeah, how'd you think the safeties performed, and Riley in particular? Because when you lose a kid like Ivory Hurd that brings the experience that he did, and you lose him only a few days before the game, that's tough.
It was a real tough situation. Drew stepped up. I tell you what, Drew's been a guy that's worked extremely hard all year. He's been an outstanding special teams player for us through the whole season, and I think he did a solid job. He had his good plays, and he had a few plays that we'd like to take back. But you expect that with a young guy. But I guarantee you one thing I don't doubt is his effort.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about our last guest, Momo Thomas, and one thing you don't doubt with Momo ever is his confidence.
Well, there's no doubt, and I really think that Momo is probably been our most consistent player. He's done an outstanding job at corner. He's really been in great position to make plays defensively. You can see how he studies and has gotten better. The interception he had last week was because he knew what was coming. Great film study, great understanding of the offense. He almost did that earlier in the year against San Jose. I mean, he just really had a feel for that. In Utah State, he had an opportunity. So he's really taken that position and taken it to a great level. He's played extremely well.
Yeah, it was so pretty to watch. I mean, you don't see that happen very often, but, I mean, he read that as well as you could possibly read a play.
He really did. I mean, it was an outstanding play, and I was kidding him that, the offensive tackle from the other team almost caught him. But in reality, he was in the end zone before anybody knew what was going on.
Yeah, I don't think there was anybody within 40 yards of him.
No, there really wasn't.
Larry Kert, defensive coordinator for the Colorado State Rams, joining us here on the Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Break down UNLV for us. It's a team that has now gone to kind of a two-quarterback system. Do you know which quarterback you'll face Saturday.
Well, we're not 100% sure, but we think, the quarterback that started against Wyoming last week came in and played the majority of that game, and I think he'll be their starter. But, Herring, number 8, has played the majority of the snaps, and he's really the more athletic quarterback, the better runner, where 14 is the better thrower. And, we may see both of them, but UNLV right now is a very, very good running team. They're just going to pound the football with 35 Garnett and 33, another running back that they have. Those two guys pound the ball, and obviously the last couple of weeks we've struggled a little bit against the run, and we need to step up and stop the run against these guys, definitely.
Watching a little of that Wyoming UNLV game last week from our hotel in El Paso, it looked as if UNLV ran the football very well in the first half. They weren't able to run the football much in the second half. What did you see Wyoming do, and it's something that maybe you guys can utilize?
Well, Wyoming,
without giving up too many secrets.
Yeah,
Larry.
no, Wyoming did a nice job. What happened was the first half was very close. It was a 20 to 12, 13 game, and it was a real close game. And then in the second half, Wyoming hit them with a punt return, got a big score, and then they got a field goal, and they separated the scoreboard, and they forced UNLV to go to the passing game. And their strength is running the football. And so really what it came down to was they made them one-dimensional in the passing game, which is not UNLV's strength.
Yep. All right, Larry, best of luck coming up on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure. Great to be here, and go Rams.
All right, that's defensive coordinator Larry Kert joining us here on the program. We'll be rejoined by the coach coming up next from Nelligan Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. Couple more segments left here on the program. Welcome back, Beach House Grill, Old Town Fort Collins. Another edition of that Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Thanks a lot once again to Momo Thomas, the junior defensive back, and defensive coordinator Larry Kert. I forgot that Momo got a medical redshirt year, and so he still is just a junior, but he's a kid who certainly is a confident guy. I know Coach Kert just told us he's probably been the most consistent defender for you guys this year.
Done a great job, and he's starting to get that confidence and leadership you look for on the defense side of the ball. He's really having a tremendous year, and I just watch him catch those punts, and I think he's going to score every time. He just has that look and demeanor to him, and really good. He really done well. He started as a true freshman. We recruited him out of Orlando my first year here, and very happy with what Momo's done.
Again, the Rams getting UNLV on the road coming up Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock as they kick off. Steve, your thought on the Rebels? They're 1-5 in the season. They looked really good in a win against Hawaii earlier in the season, but they have struggled a little bit of late.
They made a switch at quarterback, which, I think helped them a little bit. They look a little bit like UTEP to me. They're getting better each week. They've got some big play capability on offense. Defensively they're solid. So, I've known Bobby Howe for a long time, and the job he did at Montana, he's a really good football coach, and I'm sure he's going to have those guys ready to play. They've had a week off, and they're at home, so this is going to be a challenge for us.
Well, I know UNLV's has not been the easiest place to go to and win. We saw John Robinson have some success there back in the late 90s. Mike Sanford, who's a very good coach, wasn't able to get the job done there. But Bobby has struggled a little bit, but I know you know him. That situation down at UNLV, it's not easy.
Yeah, he's still real early into that program, and, anytime you take something over, you're trying to get a kind of way of doing things, whether it be practice or off the field or however, you're trying to get your philosophy, running throughout the program, and then getting guys you've recruited in there kind of, doing it for you. So, you look at him, you haven't seen anything with UNLV like he's going to have that program going here. And but, it's he's been successful everywhere he's been. They play hard. They have some talented kids, and like I said, with a week off, they're going to be ready for us. There's no question.
Yeah, I think Howe quit something like 80-15 in his time there at Montana. All right, one more timeout here. When we come back, we'll get some of the thoughts about keys to the game against UNLV on Saturday. Stay with us from Nelligan Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. One final segment here on the program. Welcome back, everybody. Beach House Grill, live for the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Ram Football, brought to you by FrontierAirlines.com. It's the place to go for the best values in the air, whether you want to follow the Rams or just want to get out of town. Frontier has you covered. Plan and book your next trip at FrontierAirlines.com. Well, again, one final segment, along with head coach Steve Fairchild, Brian Roth here. Rams and the Rebels coming up Saturday from Las Vegas. Rams got the 43-10 win last year. We were talking off the air, Steve. It was a game you really jumped on them early, and I know a big key is you can't let them at home jump on you early Saturday.
No question. You know, they're a much different team at home, as most teams are. And, you know, you look at Hawaii, who, you know, beat CU and then went in there and just got thumped by UNLV. So, you know, with a week off and in a home game, this is, you know, it's imperative that we stay focused and get off to the right type of start in this football game.
UNLV's been inconsistent. You mentioned the Hawaii game, but then they've been beat up pretty good. Can you see anything that leads to those inconsistencies?
You know, I don't know. You know, not having worked with their players and their scheme, it's hard to put a finger on it. But I know this: they flashed at times. You know, even back, I remember they played on a early night game in the opener, and I remember I was at home watching them play Wisconsin, and they looked like a decent football team, and they had quarters in that game where they looked, you know, like they could move the ball and stop the run and do all those things. So, you know, they're very capable. Last year they jumped all over New Mexico at home. I mean, it was, you know, they jumped on them 48 to something, and that game was over before you knew it. So, you know, they're capable. You know, it's going to take a really focused effort, and we're going to, you know, we haven't been playing the most consistent football that in the world lately. So it's going to take a much better game than we've been playing lately to go in there and get a victory.
Yeah, you know, they nearly give up 300 yards per game in the passing game. Have you seen things to where you think you might be able to get that passing game back on track?
Yeah, there's no question. And, you know, we do what we do. There's a certain way we approach the game. But, you know, our protection's going to have to shore up if you're going to have a chance to throw the ball successfully. So that'll be the key there.
Yeah, and then how about running the football? I know it's not as consistent as you'd like it to be. How
you
do
know,
you get it going?
Our run game, you know, both backs averaged 4 yards a carry the other night. We need to get the big runs. You know, we need those 18, 25-yard runs. We just haven't been getting those. And we pop through to that second level, we've got to make a safety miss now and then and get something big.
All right, Steve. Well, best of luck coming up on Saturday. It should be a fun one.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, that's the head coach, Steve Fairchild. Again, we're here every Wednesday evening. Don't forget, you can catch the game coming up on Saturday. We'll have the tailgate show beginning at 2 o'clock and the kickoff from Sam Boyd Stadium coming up at 4:06. I'd like to thank everybody that helped out. Momo Thomas, guest here tonight, along with defensive coordinator Larry Kerr. Charlie Grimes was back in Denver. Bob Greenfield engineering tonight for the coach, Steve Fairchild. I'm Brian Roth. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.